Good morning. Today is Wednesday, February 2nd, and it is a green day. Students, remember to check your SCJ Labs account for your Winter Carnival theme ballot. A reminder that tomorrow will be a variety day to support the Harvard Model Congress participants. The cost is $1. Attention international students. Any student wanting to take the March 12th TOEFL must register by February 16th. Email Mrs. McCaffrey at mmccaffrey@scjlabs.com or stop by the guidance office to register. Class of 2023, please keep in mind your deadline of February 9th is next week to sign up for the School Day SAT, happening on April 13th. Stop by the guidance office with any questions. Class of 2024, the PSAT 10 School Day signups are also still happening with the deadline also on February 9th. Please stop by guidance with any questions. The Gender and Sexuality Union meets today after school in Colby 207. Interested in job opportunities in Vermont? Check in with Mr. Carr via email at acarr@scjacademy.org for more information on the Vermont virtual job fairs. This week, Salsa Steps will meet today after conference period in Newell Hall 25. Please join us as we practice more salsa with Juanita and Senora Woods. Come get a little exercise and have fun dancing. George Sand once said, "There is only one happiness in life, to love and be loved." Team up with Scope and the NEK Council on Aging to deliver some love to members of our community. This week, Hilltopper advisories are encouraged to use chapel and advisory time to make Valentines that will be distributed to local retirement and nursing homes. The advisory that creates the most cards by Friday will win Valentine's Day themed cupcakes courtesy of Chef B. The batting cage will be down in the Fieldhouse this Saturday, February 5th from 11:30 to 1:30 for anyone interested in playing softball in the spring. If you have any questions, please see Mr. Roberts. Are you a student who expresses gender nonconformity? Have you ever been interested in modeling for a photo shoot? Help Olivia George's capstone and model for photos that express gender nonconformity. There are flyers around campus with Olivia's contact information, or email Olivia at olivia.george@scjlabs.com and let her know that you are interested in participating. There are no restrictions or requirements, and every student is welcome. Join the library in celebrating Black History Month. Challenge yourself this month and every month to read books written by Black authors and poets. Come explore 2 new displays brimming with amazing work. Whatever you read, read diversely. Offers heart-strong romances, engrossing realistic fiction, intriguing historical stories, wacky sci-fi, spooky scares, and just plain amazing reads in all the genres you love, all by Black authors. Celebrate Black Voices and Honor the Black Experience features some of the finest and newest books by celebrated contemporary Black authors, historians, cultural critics, poets, and more. Accept the Black History Month challenge and get reading. Happy belated birthday to Charlie Santos, who celebrated his birthday yesterday, and happy birthday today to Kaylin Glentz Brush, Gavin Maney, Hayden McLaughlin, and Zachary Poole. Happy birthday. Today we have Kingdom Blades at CVU at 6:20, gymnastics at Milton at 6, please release the team at 2:30, and JV and varsity girls basketball versus South Burlington at 5 and 6:30. And in preparation for the upcoming snow, everybody come dressed with your ski attire tonight for the basketball game. Good luck and have a great day.
Everybody loves to prepare for that upcoming snow, so we can't wait to see what that looks like. A couple of late announcements for you this morning. Are you missing a small bag filled with corn? We have found several in the small hole under a piece of plywood. Please come to see if they are yours at the Varsity Cornhole Club in the Black Box Theater at 3:30 today. A couple of scores from yesterday. The boys hockey team lost to U32 5-4. The boys varsity basketball team lost a heartbreaker to CVU 49-48, but the JV team won 43-37. So congratulations to the JV team. And any of you out there that are interested in some intramural basketball that aren't playing a sport at the time, Monday evenings starting at 7. If you're interested in getting a team together, please see Mr. LaCroix in the Campus Life office so that we can get league play starting on Monday. So the message this morning, it's an honor to be up here to share a bit of history with you today, but more importantly to combine with a series of speakers throughout the month of February about topics that impact all of us. We've used themes in recent history to shape our messaging and focus our school year, like What happens here changes the world. This year's theme, Better Together, just to name a few. But we want you to be thinking about what do those mean in the bigger world, right? And how do you carry those with you? I believe it's possible because when we lean into topics that might not be necessarily always easy to talk about, or issues that take on some sort of difficult in nature, we're able to confront challenges when things don't feel right here. And we celebrate when things are going well here, much like we did yesterday with the Chinese New Year. And we do that so that all of us are a little bit more engaged, a little bit more informed, and all of us are better for walking the walls together. I would argue that the story of what happens here is like none that I've experienced. I've traveled to many conferences, met with many people who work in different boarding schools across the nation, and many educators. But none share the same kind of mission that we share here, the same kind of core values, the programming, the diversity, the equity, and the inclusivity, which we've been hearing a lot more about lately. Many have put themselves in front of you and shared their stories from their lens about what life is like for the student body today. In fact, we started the semester kicking off with many of those students speaking on just that. And we want to be thinking about how we, as the Academy, can continue to embrace and make us better, more inclusive, more prepared for the world that we face, and challenge one another to be better every day. So we've organized speakers this month who will continue to tackle those important topics to inform and to inspire, and hopefully cultivate some of those conversations within each of us. And I'm excited this morning to be able to follow up on one of those topics today. This morning, I want to shift your focus to the fact that today is a special day nationwide for women in athletics. In fact, today is the National Girls and Women in Sports Day, a nationwide celebration for girls and women in sports. And we're fortunate today to have many of our women's teams performing and competing in their arenas: basketball, gymnastics, and women's hockey. So all of us can be part of this celebration in some way, shape, or form to help lift our female athletes. We thought it might be good to share with you a little bit of history about what made this so important, this decision so important for all of our young women across the country. And it fits under the umbrella of equity, and in particular, gender equity. If you ask your teachers who their role models might have been when they were growing up, or who they watched on TV, or who it was that inspired them to become the person that they are, or an athlete to become the competitor that they are, they probably all have a story. For me, I grew up watching women's basketball players such as Sue Bird and Teresa Witherspoon, and soccer icons such as Mia Hamm and Michelle Akers, role models both on and off the field that helped shape competitive spirit and the development of the love of the game. But what you might not know is that this year marks the 50th anniversary year for the law that helped transform women in athletics. Passed in 1972, Title IX transformed women's sports. Known as the groundbreaking gender equity law, Title IX made lasting impacts by increasing the participation of girls and women in athletics. Title IX was passed as part of an education amendment in 1972, and it banned sexual discrimination in federally funded educational programs. And in doing so, it opened the doors for girls and women in admission, in academic majors, in positions in vocational programs, and it also helped ensure equal access and treatment once they were into the universities. But what Title IX is most famous for is the impact on the expanding of those opportunities. In 1972, there were just over 300,000 women and girls playing in high school sports and colleges across the country. Female athletes, however, only received 2% of college athletic budgets, and athletic scholarships were virtually non-existent for women at the time. By 2012, the number of girls participating in high school sports nationwide had risen tenfold to more than 3 million. More than 190,000 women were competing in intercollegiate sports, 6 times as many as in 1972. So you might think about, okay, so 1972, that's a long time ago, but let's just bring it to today, or bring it to just recent events maybe, a couple of years ago. What happened in transforming us in this era? On March 8th, on International Women's Day in 2019, 28 members of the U.S. women's national soccer team sued the U.S. Soccer Federation for gender discrimination, alleging unequal pay and working conditions. According to the lawsuit, at the time, the women made 38% of what their male counterparts made. And soon after the lawsuit, women representing other sports began to voice their support for those in that squad. Sports are a microcosm of society. What happened to the U.S. national team is what was happening in the workforce. It's an opportunity for us to take a look at equity and inclusion. Famous women's tennis player, and you may not know this name because it's dated a bit, but she is pretty famous, so you might want to look it up. Billie Jean King tweeted at the time that it's time to give these athletes what they deserve, and that is equality. Serena Williams also said that their pay discrepancy was ludicrous. They are not the only women who have blazed their trail in equity in sports. There are many who have paved the way for all of us. The runners in the crowd may know that the Boston Marathon began in 1897, but at the time it was only open to men. In 1967, Catherine Switzer challenged the rules by running the race, but she had to register under a different name. She only used her initials, KV Switzer, so that nobody would know when she entered the race that she was a woman. In 1972, women were officially permitted to enter the race. In 1972, 8 women entered and 8 women finished. In 2019, 11,982 women finished that famous race. One of our own finished that race earlier this fall. I'll let you figure out who that is. In 1976, women rowers on the Yale crew team spoke out as well. They had to protest because they didn't have equity in terms of locker rooms or bathrooms or places to shower or the same kind of equipment that the men's team had at the time. Their protest was about their conditions, and it was in violation of the Title IX rule. So the athletes themselves wanted to do something about it. It was a successful protest by all measures because the women's rowing team got their showers, they got their bathrooms, they got their locker rooms that they demanded, but more importantly, the university hired faculty members to oversee that Title IX compliance. They revealed themselves in many ways, but they had to work hard to be able to get that public-facing vulnerability to get what they needed to be able to compete. They spoke so that others would have more. The law's far-reaching impact could be seen at the 2016 Olympics as well, where American women dominated in sports in gymnastics, basketball, and swimming. That year, they saw the largest contingent of U.S. female Olympians in history, with a total of 292 women and 263 men. Back in 1972, only 90 women had joined the Olympic team of 428 athletes. So whether it's equal exposure, equal treatment, equal access, equal pay, women have been pushing to ensure equity for all of us, all of our young female athletes who sit amongst us today in all of our classes. And yet these are just a few of the stories of struggle. As I mentioned, this year marks the 50th anniversary of Title IX, surviving many challenges for the decades. It's arguably one of the most significant pieces of civil rights legislation in American history. And I believe that it's our responsibility to learn and to know and to understand just how important it is to stand up for what's right and just and good, because it impacts how we change the world. So we are going to continue to celebrate our progress in diversity, equity, inclusion here at the Academy. And today, we ask that you join us in the celebration of the accomplishments of our young women in sports. You'll hear tomorrow from Brenna McCarty, a local former World Cup skier. You'll hear some information about our own Susan Dunkley, an alum who'll be representing the U.S. In her 3rd trip to the Olympic Games in the biathlon. You'll hear more about that this week, and you'll see some pieces on social media from Mr. Legge later today. But today, take some moments to celebrate the young women that we have that are representing our sports teams and athletics. We will continue to celebrate, we will continue to grow. And for the moment, let's remember this, ladies. Strong women, may we know them, may we be them, and may we raise them. Have a fabulous day.